Cool. Have you all ever heard the expression, I'll never jump out of a perfectly good airplane? For a lot of people that's true. They don't want to do it. But for me, that's not true. Today I'll be talking to y'all and giving y'all a little bit of information about one of the most exciting things I've ever done, and that was skydiving. For me, skydiving was kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision for one of my friend's 18th birthday. He's always wanted to jump out of an airplane, asked some of those guys to go, so I decided to go. It was a lot of fun. It was one of the best 1.5 minute plus 7 to 10 minute times of my life, and I'll explain what those time frames mean in a second. We jumped on October 18th, 2010, so it was a few years ago, but it was super exciting and super fun. A good way to describe skydiving is today's speech is going to be a little bit more information about skydiving and less about my experience, but more about skydiving itself. Skydiving is basically like laying on a bed of air. For a lot of people, they think you can feel like you're falling, kind of like if you have a dream where you're skydiving, you can feel that sensation of you're falling, but when you actually do it, you don't feel it. You feel like you're just laying there like a bed of air. So a little bit about how this can connect a little bit with us as guys is we all want to do something exciting, we all want to do something adventurous, and skydiving is one of those things. Something about skydiving that a lot of people know but they don't really think about necessarily is that people have been jumping out of perfectly good airplanes for years, many years at fact. One of the little things I want to talk about is that skydiving has been around for a while. Again, it's been around since World War I. People began in our militaries jumping out of airplanes and getting in behind enemy lines. According to a fact sheet by the FAA on FAA.gov, which was last edited in 2005, so a little while ago, but it's hard to find information on skydiving itself, is that it did originate during World War I, and it has since evolved into recreation during peacetime. So at first it was for war, but when we went through times of peace, people started doing it for recreational purposes. I guess guys got hooked on that. I can understand how it has become a fun hobby for a lot of people. As for me, it's addicting. People ask, what was it like? And the best way I like to describe it is that the moment I landed, I paid to go again. They offered us a great deal and said, hey, you want to go one more time? I was like, sure. So paid, went again. And so I understand why guys pay this money to get their skydiving license where they can go on the weekends and just go jump out of an airplane if they want to. Skydiving is also an extremely growing sport in the United States. People consider it a sport because it is something that is outside, something that's active, something that takes skill, as you can't just simply walk up on an airplane and jump out of it without training. You go through an extensive amount of training. As we talked to the guys that we jumped with, and they said it takes 24 different jumps, whether that is jumping from extremely high or extremely low, if that is immediately pulling your chute the moment you pull out of the plane, different maneuvers and different exercises to get your license. It takes, like I said, about 24 jumps and about $2,200 what they were telling us, but once after that, all you have to do is pay your cost worth of fuel to jump out of an airplane, and so that's why a lot of people do it. According to FAA Safety Council on FAAsafety.gov, which I visited on October 15th, over 300 active skydiving centers are throughout the United States. Like I said, it's growing, and with these 300 centers, there's about a little bit over 500 aircraft around the United States that are specifically designed for jumpers and for skydiving purposes. Now, it's growing not just into a fun sport, but it's also an extremely safe sport. A lot of people freak out when you talk about skydiving. They think that is extremely dangerous. They think that it can lead to death and it can lead to injury, which is true. It can lead to death. It can lead into injury. But look at me, I'm still alive. So for me, talking a little bit a while ago about the little bit over a minute time frame plus a 7 to 10 minute time frame, what that means is that you have, as soon as you jump out of the airplane at about 14,000 feet, you free fall for a minute, which is like laying on a bed of air. Then you glide. Once you pull the chute, you glide about 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast you want to go down. If you do a lot of circle maneuvers and stuff like that, you go down quicker. If you just simply glide, it takes a little bit longer of a time to do that. Which you pull your chute at about 6,500 feet, so you free fall from 14,000 to 6,500 in a minute. It's pretty quick. One thing I like to say is that skydiving is by far a million times better than bungee jumping. When you compare the two, bungee jumping is super quick, kind of gives you a little bit of a jerk at the bottom, but skydiving doesn't do that to you. Skydiving is a little bit longer and a little bit more fun. According to the United States National Library of Medicine on ncbi.gov, which was updated in 2005, skydiving has continued to only get safer throughout the years since World War I and now up until today. They did a study on about 117,000 jumps. During those 117,000 jumps, only one person died. And out of, on average, of about 10,000 of those, for every 10,000 of the 117,000 jumps, only 17 people were injured, which 66% of those injuries were just simple first aid, like cuts and bruises, which we've seen that the majority of injuries occur when you're landing in skydiving. As for me, the first time when I landed, my instructor, who was on my back, accidentally elbowed me in the back of the head because we hit a bump on the ground. And so that did hurt for a little bit, but I was still in a bunch of just excitement, so it didn't really make much of a difference to me. So in conclusion, like I said, skydiving is one of the most exciting things I've ever done, and I highly recommend it, as it's not just fun, but it's extremely safe. Again, it's a great thing to do if you want to go by yourself, or it's even better if you go with a group of people, as you can jump out of the same plane that they're in. It's not just, so today I didn't just tell you about my story, but I told you the facts also about how skydiving is growing in popularity and in safety. And so to conclude, I'm going to show y'all just a couple of pictures from my jump, and then we'll move in. So here's a picture from free fall. As you can tell, you don't open your mouth in free fall because the air catches your cheeks and spreads them out. And then a picture of us, myself and my instructor Hank, as we were coming in for landing. Hank was an awesome guy, a little crazy because he is skydiving. A lot of the skydiving guys are crazy, but they're a lot of fun. So like I said, we all like to do exciting things, so go out and do whatever you consider to be your excitement, which I recommend going and jumping out of an airplane or go get out and do something. And so that is it.